Today we're going to be talking about the 4 major sourcing strategies that you can use on Amazon FBA. And more importantly, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of those strategies. Hi, my name's Simon. I'm a 6-figure Amazon seller in the UK. And today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the 4 major sourcing strategies. Now, before we get into it, I just want to mention my free Discord group. Guys, I've got a free Amazon FBA Discord group. You can come and join that, link in description. You can ask me questions, hang out with like-minded people, and it's just a great community. So check out the link in the description and check that out. Right, guys, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the first one, which is OA, or online arbitrage. This is where you are basically ordering your items from an online retailer. So any online retailer with a website, it could be Amazon, it could be Asda, it could be Tesco's, it could be game.co.uk, any of these online websites. And you're buying from them and you're selling them on Amazon. So what are the pros and the cons? Well, firstly, let's talk about who is this sort of strategy aimed at. I think this is a strategy aimed for beginners, intermediate and advanced. So you can do this strategy, no matter what level you are at Amazon. Now, the pros. So the first pro and the main one is that there are always loads of different websites out there you can source from. There are hundreds of websites in various different categories, and there's always some sort of sale going on. So you have basically the entire internet to source from to find your deal. So a pretty big pro, to be honest, on that one, and the major reason why OA is quite a nice scalable business. The next pro is that you can essentially buy anything. You can source any kind of category, any kind of item. As long as it's profitable on Amazon, you can generally buy it on the internet and sell it on Amazon. You're not bottlenecked into any kind of category necessarily, unless you want to be, of course. So, you have the whole internet to source, and, you can basically buy any category without any hassle, really. The next pro is that it's actually quick and easy. And what do I mean by quick and easy? I mean, it's easy to find deals, and it's quick in terms of, finding deals can be fairly quick. You can buy items right away. You can get them delivered next day delivery, get them sent into Amazon. And, overall as a process, it's extremely fast. I don't think there's anything much faster than this, apart from possibly retail arbitrage. But this is pretty much one of the quickest and easiest ways to actually do Amazon FBA. So the next pro is that this is a scalable business model. I've got myself to 10,000 profit a month. I know guys out there that do 20, 30, 40,000 profit a month doing this strategy, majority of OA. So this is a not infinitely scalable business, but a very scalable business to some rather nice profit figures. So I'm sure all of us would be very happy making £20,000-30,000 a month doing online arbitrage. Now, I think it does get a little bit trickier to go beyond that. You need some good systems in place and things like that. But, I think it's still possible, but it becomes trickier when you want to start to scale to those really, really big numbers. The next pro is that you can use like a credit card and Amex card and PayPal, and all kind of payment methods are generally accepted when it comes to doing online arbitrage, which helps you order sort of beyond your budget. So let's say you've got a starting capital of £10,000. Well, you can kind of stretch that a little bit by using a credit card or an Amex, whatever you want to do. Because of the good payment terms they offer. Now, this isn't financial advice. I'm not advising you to go out there and overspend on a credit card, but it just gives you that little bit of edge to maybe spend a little bit more than you have, knowing that you've got some money coming in from Amazon and you've got sort of 30, 45 days to pay it with the credit card company. The final pro is that you can tend to order lower quantities. I mean, you can technically order one of an item. So if you're on a limited budget or you're just starting out, there's no sort of minimum order quantities generally. You can just order one, or whatever, 5 or 10 units. This can actually be a con as well, as we'll go into in a bit. But yeah, the minimum order quantity, as we call it, is very low, and that is obviously very good for anyone who's just starting and wants to learn, or someone who's just got a limited budget. Now let's go on to the cons. The first con is cancellations. Unfortunately, a lot of websites out there don't like you ordering large numbers of items from their website. Now, it's silly, really, when you think about it, because it's good business for them. But I guess a lot of these retailers are under pressure not to sell to resellers, either from the people they're sourcing from, or maybe it looks bad for their other customers. But yeah, generally cancellations can be a bit of an issue, which makes it a little bit more difficult to scale the business up really high. And it can be quite frustrating at times as well to get cancelled when you find a good deal. Just like with any sourcing method, I suppose, sometimes it's hard to find deals. You go through quite a dry spell. You're sourcing every day and only maybe finding one or two deals, or maybe no deals at all. See, sometimes you can go through these dry spells where there's no sales on. And OA guys, by the way, you're generally finding deals that are profitable when there's a sale or a coupon or something's going on that means it's a reduced price. So very rarely you're buying things at the full price. So sometimes it can be tricky. Depends what time of the year it is and what you're actually sourcing. The next con is that you can't always necessarily reorder items, and the main reason for this is because maybe a sale came on for an item and you order it and then you find out it was a great seller on Amazon and you go back to order it and either it's out of stock because loads of other people found it as well, or the sale is no longer on. That's where you need to start tracking the sales and figuring out when this item is going to come on sale again. It may never come back on sale ever again, or maybe it comes on sale every 3 months, 6 months. So you might have quite a lag period before you can reorder it. And this is what it comes down to, and I talk about in this video here, for example, sourcing a specific category, becoming expert at that category, expert at a specific website, knowing when the sales come on, and that way you can replan items when they're available. One of the biggest cons, in my opinion, with OA is it's probably one of the most intensive admin sourcing methods that you've got. And that's mainly, especially when you become VAT registered. Obviously, you have to basically get an invoice for every single order you do. That has to be submitted to your accountant and to HMRC. And if you're doing dozens of orders a day, hundreds or even thousands of orders a month, that can become quite tedious from an admin point of view. So very admin intensive. And the final con, as we touched on before, quantity limits. Sometimes you are limited by how much you can order. Maybe a website will only allow you to order 10 of an item and you found this great deal and you want to order hundreds and hundreds, but you're limited to 10. In that case, you may have to create multiple accounts, try and figure out a way around it. Sometimes it can be quite tough. So sometimes you find a great deal and you just want to order loads and you can't. So again, another con of doing online arbitrage. And that comes down to the fact that a lot of these websites don't like resellers. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the pros and cons of doing OA. I'm a big fan of OA, but it's not all sunshine and roses. There are some downsides. Now, before we go on to the pros and cons of retail arbitrage, I want to talk about my sponsor, Profit Protector Pro. So Profit Protector Pro is literally the best repricer for Amazon FBA sellers in the UK, in my opinion. I've been using it now for about 8 weeks and it's made me over £2,700 in extra profit, which is actually kind of insane when you think about it. Who knows how much money I've missed out on in the past using a different repricer. Now, the reason I like it so much is because, one, it's really easy to set up, and two, is the algorithmic strategies they have. So you can choose the correct strategy for whatever your goal is for your listing. Maybe it's an item that's bricking and you just want to increase the sales to clear it out, or maybe it's an item that you really want to maximize the profit on. They have about 10 to 12 different algorithmic strategies you can choose from. The one that I use, guys, is the cautious sell enhancer as my default, and that's designed to make sure you get more money for your items by pricing items above the minimum price and actually getting you the buy box above the minimum price, which a lot of other repricers don't do. So guys, if you want to sign up to Profit Protector Pro, I've got a link in the description. So the next sourcing method we're going to talk about is retail arbitrage. And retail arbitrage is where you're going out to an actual physical store, maybe it's Tesco's, Asda, whatever store, and you're looking around on the shelves, scanning items, buying stuff from the actual store. This is a great method, again, for beginners all the way to advanced. This is a great method, and it's good for all levels of FBA sellers. So let's go into some of the pros. And the main pro for retail arbitrage is that you have huge return on investment, ROI. So you can oftentimes find items that are 50, 60, 80, 100, even thousands of percent ROI. It's very hard to generally find those on OA, and maybe I should put this as a con. With OA, you're looking for 30% ROI, 40% ROI. With retail arbitrage, you're looking for much higher ROIs, and those huge ROIs can be found quite easily, actually, compared to online arbitrage. So that's probably the biggest pro of doing retail arbitrage. The second pro is that there's generally less price tanking with retail arbitrage, and the main reason for this is, unless it's a national sale that everyone knows about, when you find an item doing retail arbitrage, there's less people that know about it. And this means that, there's going to be less people on the listing, and it means you're going to keep those higher ROIs and make more money. And there's going to be less tanking on that item. You don't have to hold it for a long time. So this is why I really like Promote RA for absolute beginners. People who have a very limited budget of maybe £1,000 should do retail arbitrage, because you can scale quickly, basically. And that comes on to the next pro. It's really easy to scale this business, to get your business going on Amazon FBA. You can learn really quickly. It's the fastest method in terms of sourcing, because you can literally go out to a store at 9 a.m. in the morning, buy an item, come home, pack it, and send it off to UPS same day. So it doesn't get quicker than that in terms of turnaround, buying and selling and turning around items. Now let's talk about the cons. It is harder to scale retail arbitrage, mainly because you have to go out and physically search the items yourself. Now, you can put systems in place where you potentially hire other people to go out there. Some people definitely do this, but it's definitely a more problematic sourcing method when you want to try and scale to those really big numbers. Now, I'm actually a big believer that you can do 6 figures profit a year doing retail arbitrage. I'm not saying that is easy, but I think you can do that no problem. If you do full-time retail arbitrage, I think you can do that no problem. But getting beyond the 6 figures profit, mid 6 figures, that's where it's going to get really tricky with retail arbitrage. The second con is that it can be very discouraging when you find no deals. I mean, it's not so bad when you're on a website doing OA, sourcing on a website. If a website's really bad, you can just go to another one really quickly. Well, with retail arbitrage, if you're driving around all day, using up your time, your petrol, wear and tear on your car, it can be quite frustrating if you're out there for 8 hours and you find no deals or very few deals. And you might actually be losing money at that point, especially with the cost of petrol. So that can definitely be a negative thing. And that's why I recommend you try and do RA when you've got an idea, when there's a lead out there already. So you kind of already know what you're looking for. And you can obviously search other things as well. So the next con is that there's not always that much stock available. Let's say there's a fantastic deal for a hand blender or something, a juicer from Asda, for example. You're maybe going to make £50 profit on it. Well, it might be that you can only find one of these in your Asda, and maybe you go around all the Asdas in your area and you can only find one. I mean, so you're basically limited a little bit on stock when it comes to retail arbitrage. Now, what you can do, and this I suppose should have been a pro, is that if you find a really good deal in retail arbitrage and no one else knows about it, you can do what's called a national run and literally hire a van and do the entire UK, just soaking up all the stock. And that way you can get tens, dozens, thousands of units, whatever it is, depending on what you're buying and what your budget is. But generally though, you're limited on how much stock you can buy. Each store might only have 1 or 2 units, depends what it is really. So that can be frustrating at times, makes it a little bit hard to scale at times, but it is what it is. So that's one of the cons. And the final one is, again, we've touched on this already, it's very time intensive to do retail arbitrage. You have to spend time in the store scanning items, seeing if they're profitable. You have to drive between stores, depending on where you live. Maybe you're in a city where there's more stores available. If you're more rural, then you've definitely got longer to drive, and there'll be less stores around. So it's very time intensive, but I think you can do probably £50, £100 an hour doing retail arbitrage, no problem. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. So guys, I hope you found that video useful. Let me know in the comments what sourcing strategy you prefer for Amazon and what you're maybe doing now and what you plan for the future. And yeah, guys, don't forget to join my free Discord group, link in the description. And as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.